Real Madrid haven't congratulated Barca particularly on a good fighting win. There's been a lot of excuses. The front page of Marca saying Madrid explodes, not happy with some of the officiating throughout the game. Let's start off with this one, Sid. This is the challenge from Gavi on Ceballos. Clearly no attempt to get the ball whatsoever. Madrid wanted VAR to intervene and send Gavi off. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I just love the idea of you even using the phrase attempt to get the ball. The ball is about 50 metres away. it's about as bad an attempt to get the ball as ever there has been. I also quite enjoy the fact that Gavi, who's tiny, is there playing the hard man on behalf of Robert Lewandowski, who's 34 and 6'3", which is quite amusing as well. Yeah, that's one that, of course, probably should have been picked up. And had it been picked up, Gavi would have been in trouble for it.
Yeah, red card, Stevie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no attempt for the ball.
No.
Easy.
Easy peasy. Should have been. Should have been. No, it looks... It's a pathetic push is what it is, but you still can't attack somebody, go for them and push them in any sort of manner.
A pathetic push, Ali, worthy of a red card?
It was pathetic.
Right, all I would say is that I would have liked for it, if indeed you're going to go after this, that it would have been much better than what Stevie defines as a pathetic push. Honestly, I think it's worthy of a yellow card. Ooh. I don't think it's worthy of a red card. Is it dumb from Gavi? Yes. It's unnecessary? Yes. Other than that, I don't see it as a red card. And perhaps that's why it did not meet the threshold in order for it to be called on to VAR and somebody to look at it and say whether it's a red card offence or not.
And the problem, I suppose, is the timing of everything, Sid, isn't it? That because it's international break, there's not a lot to talk about. Inevitably, the news cycle is just going to go over this over and over again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the timing is a big element. This obviously the most important element is this Madrid against Barcelona. You get these kind of decisions in any other game and no one cares in the slightest. The significance of the result, with it basically meaning that Barcelona will win the league now, of course, plays into it as well. And some of the fallout from this game seems absurd to me. Now, this is slightly different, this particular challenge, but the fallout certainly surrounding the goal seems bizarre to me.
So let's take a look at another incident that Real Madrid weren't happy with. Of course, the late goal that was chalked off offside. This extraordinarily close, great finish from Asensio. Very nonchalant almost as he came on as a second-half substitute and thought with 10 minutes to go that he'd won the game. When you looked at it with the naked eye, it did look like he was off. And then, of course, VAR would intervene, draw the lines, and he was indeed offside. What was interesting, the reaction from Xavi, but in particular Ancelotti.
Tenemos que aceptarlo, pero a mí me quedo con la duda. Yo creo que de seguro no hay nada. La duda, yo creo que tenemos derecho de tener la duda.
¿Dudas del fuera de juego? No, es claro. Fuera de juego es claro. Al final bueno, es un tema científico, ¿no? Al final, bueno, me sorprende de Ancelotti estas declaraciones, la verdad. ¿Es fuera de juego o no es fuera de juego? En este caso es un fuera de juego. No hay más debate ahí, ¿no?
Sid, we kind of know why this sparked such a big reaction because it was Ancelotti who said it doesn't really normally get involved with these things. People questioning when they paused, did they pause at the right frame? Were they setting up for Barcelona to go on and win? Of course, all the conspiracy theories were there. What's your reaction to it?
Well, as I kind of briefly alluded to earlier on, I think it's baffling how big this has been. It seems to me that this is an offside, which to the naked eye looked like an offside, which according to the VAR is offside. It's a huge decision in terms of the significance of it, but it doesn't feel like a controversial decision to me. Now, there is a broader question, which I think Ancelotti raises, although I would like this question to be raised in a more conceptual sense rather than the sense of this went against us. There is a broader question about offsides and about the role of VAR and about whether or not we trust the lines and all of those kind of things. But in this particular instance, I think a huge amount has been made out of basically a non-issue from my point of view, to be perfectly honest with you. That said, as you say, it's interesting that Ancelotti should say this because Ancelotti, I think, is brilliant in terms of not trying to cause a fuss, in terms of not being someone who complains. And he says we've got that down. Now, to be fair, I share that doubt, but I share that doubt about VAR in all sorts of ways. You know, conceptually, I think I have problems with VAR in terms of the way in which the tiny, minute things are taking on huge significance. But as far as this particular decision goes, to be honest with you, I just don't really see it as an issue.
Yeah, I don't think we need to carry on this conversation, do we?
Okay.
Time moving on. So Sid, overall,
Right, go on, Dan.
the significance of this defeat is that Barcelona will go on. They'll go on and win the title. From a Real Madrid view, who's getting the blame for them not defending La Liga title?
Right, well, I mean, it depends. Because if you're looking at it from a blame point of view, then, of course, fingers point at the coach, because that's just the nature of Real Madrid. In fact, you may have seen the press conference before this game when Ancelotti was asked, and the question was framed along the lines of, there is an unwritten rule at Real Madrid that says if a manager doesn't win anything, he doesn't continue. What do you think? And Ancelotti said, well, look, unwritten rules can change because written rules can change. So why wouldn't unwritten rules change? And he said, and anyway, I think we will win something. And he said, now we're in a slightly disadvantageous position in the league. We're in a slightly disadvantageous position in the Copa del Rey, where, of course, they're 1-0 down after the first leg of the semi-final against Barcelona, and they have to go back to the Camp Nou. So then in the Champions League, we're on an even keel with everybody else. This was before the Champions League draw was made, I believe, or maybe it was the same day. So in any case, he was saying, we'll win something. He said, look, I think we'll win something. So if you look at it from a blame point of view, of course, it's about him, but he believes there's still more to play for, which there absolutely is. But if you look at it from an analytical point of view, and this question has been asked over the last 3 or 4 days about kind of what this means about Real Madrid this season. Of course, there's been question marks about the fitness of Karim Benzema and whether Real Madrid really have a good backup for him. And Benzema has missed, I think, his 13 games this season. No injuries more than 10 days, but lots of little ones. Lots of those kind of injuries where he's missing for a game. And you think, well, if it was a Champions League final tomorrow, he'd play. But he's not quite fit enough to risk it, so he's not going to play this one. So we've seen that kind of thing. Question marks, of course, about that transition in midfield and whether that midfield needs more energy, despite the fact that when it comes to the really big games, Kroos and Modric continue to play fantastically well. So I think in terms of an analytical point of view, there's that doubt about whether the transition is complete yet in midfield, and also that doubt about backup in the forward line. The other thing, of course, and we saw this in the Clasico, and I think we see it almost every week, is the fact that Real Madrid play so heavily to the left side of the pitch. Now, it's all to Vinicius, and that there isn't really an attacking threat on the right, because Valverde is a brilliant player, but he's this kind of midfielder played in a right-wing position to give him that, if you like, that hybrid role, which I think exaggerates even further the reliance on Vinicius to make things happen.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.